All right, I'm in Monday's practice round in the 2020 St. Patrick's Day tournament. I'm in my 99 count, so I've got T4 clubs. I lost some videos, not happy about it. So I want to make sure that I get these out there so that you can see what I did and I can see what I did, so I can go back and watch these and I can take a look at it and be critical. It's always better. It's always better when you got them where you can stop it and pause it, and you can't stop and pause the stuff that we have in our replays in Golf Clash. So putting it out here so that we can take a look at it. So the wind here is blowing in the traditional way. When we get on this hole, it's blowing in this direction. Now here's the issue. We're using the wind. I think today we were in the 4 something. I think it was like 4.5, 4.6. So I'll just say 4.5. And it was blowing in this direction so we can use the wind. And so we set this shot up and we go, yeah, we got it all set up. And then next round we get a 3.6. And then the next round we get a 5.4 or 5.5. And so where we land out here is going to be different. So we're going to have to watch our topspin based off of this wind. Okay. So if we get some big wind, like a 6-mile-an-hour wind, we may want to take, or if we get a bigger wind, we may want to take a little bit of wind out in order to do the shot. And where we're trying to get out here on this, and I'm trying to come in at it at an angle. I'm not trying to come at it straight. And the reason I'm not trying to come at it straight is, let's draw the box. Draw a box here where we're engaging the rough right here and we're engaging the rough right here. And if we draw this diagonal through it versus drawing a straight line, okay, this straight line is obviously shorter than coming at it from this way. And I'm trying to come at this at such an angle with my curl that I'm hitting it where I'm hitting it on the perpendicular, and I'm making this gap shorter than trying to hit it where it's longer. You can, if you clip this rough, if we cut this in half, if you clip the rough, you're going to bleed out and you're going to be out in this area. If you can get your topspin right so that you don't bleed off into the rough out here, the goal is to get out into this area, because it's going to change your next shot for the max overpower hook. So let's go watch the drive first, and then we'll come back and look at the hook. And I've got a level 7 extra mile. Sorry about that. What was I doing? I was already on the spot. I've got a level 7 extra mile. So I don't have tons of topspin, and I'm losing a little bit of raw distance, but the topspin's not as important because we don't need all the topspin. But because I'm losing a little bit of distance, I've got to put a little more topspin. Like if you had an extra mile 8, you really only need about 3.5 topspin. And we got a 4-4 wind. And so what I find normally is that I'll aim towards the top of this sand, and the wind will push me 2 rings off, which is about right here. And then I'm trying to come in at it at an angle, so I'm trying to make this shorter and trying to hit it at the right spot so that I bleed out down in this area. I'm also trying to make it shorter down here. So I put on all of it to start off with, and I thought maybe that was a little too much. So I ended up going with 4 and just a sliver as opposed to 4.5. Putting on max curl. Isn't it perfect? And I had, on the other side where it bounced over, on the other side, I had a good ring of distance that I could have been short. So I could have dropped that down to 3 3/4 topspin, and I still probably would have cleared it. But boy, I'll tell you, I was sweating it going into, watch that one more time. So sweating it when it's going into over here, that you're not going to overshoot it, because if you overshoot it, you're sunk. You still have, this is a birdie hole for most people, and you still have an excellent chance at birdie from there. I mean, you just lay it up out into this area right here, or put it on this pad right here. Don't take any risks. What you do not want to do on this hole is go, if you end up in the rough, what you do not want to do is go from rough to rough or from sand to sand. You want to get the heck back in the fairway. If you're practicing this hole, I don't care where you end up, if it's not in the fairway, chip it back over to here so that you can practice this max overpower hook. The more times you practice that hook, the better you'll get at it, and the more comfortable you'll be with it. Now let's watch when it lands on the other side, how much it cleared the rough. It looked to me like it was a good solid ring. So, I mean, I could have put on maybe 1/3 of a bar less topspin, right? there. I mean, that I had good distance there. So, I mean, I had a lot of room that I could have maneuvered there, maybe even 3.5 topspin, because it carries just a little far down in that hole. Okay, second shot. You have options here. If you're going on the white line, a lot of people are going to do the white line. You've got to make sure you lay up on this. The best way to do it is to do a rough bump, not trying to stick it up there. The best way to come in this is probably going to do the rough bump. So you're going to need to bring a club accordingly that's got some topspin so that you can do that rough bump to get up there. You can bounce it over and try and stick it in the cup. But this is a pretty long shot. And I don't see this as being like a super high percentage. So like, hey, you get here and I mean, especially with the way that the wind's blowing here, you do have the wind kind of at your back. But I would much rather take a much shorter shot to try and get my eagle, like a chip or a putt, as in that much shorter, than getting it up there. So what I'm going to do is I got myself, it's one shot at a time, I got myself in the right spot. There's a ball marker out here. And this is the first time I've taken this shot with this account where I've had the right wind, where I was able to get into the right spot. And so I kind of got it right. Kind of got the max overpower hook shot. So let's go and watch it and see like what I should have been about a ring more to the right from where I set it up. So let's see where I set it up at. It still ended up okay, but I could have been on the green making a putt instead of having to do a chip. And so it's really important. See the ball guide that's out there, that ball marker that's out there? If you hit to the front, your ball guide is right at that ball marker. If you hit on the back side of it, your ball guide is out here, and you're going to have to go more to the left because you'll pinch it up. So I could have, from the distance that I'm at, I should have put my ball guide right on the ball marker. And I actually moved myself over about 3/4 of a ring. And I took the wind out. I don't want the wind to affect that shot. It's still going to affect it, but I want to try and standardize the wind, because next time, like I said, if we have a bigger wind next time, it's going to affect the ball differently. And I hit out and rolled up towards the top. And so I had plenty of room on the right-hand side. So I could have came in probably a full ring, maybe even 1/4 of a ring where the ball guide's at, maybe even 1/4 of a ring to the right, and I would have opened that entire fairway up. And with that 2.5 topspin, it would have been right on. Let's go watch that one more time. I really want to be critical of this shot, because this is the shot that we're trying to get. So I should have put my ball guide right on the flagpole, and I was at least a good 3/4 of a ring to the right, to the left. And I should have been about that same distance on the other side to the right. And that would have opened that fairway up and got me right on the green. And you can see how close I hit up here. It was I just had enough. Just barely. Now the shot coming in, if you're up there at the top, let me give you some forewarning about this shot up at the top. There's a slope going down. So you've got to kind of account for the wind, and you've got to account for the slope a little bit. So what I did was I hedged my bets here. The wind's blowing 3 miles an hour to the left. And from the distance I'm at, wind's going to play a little bit of a factor, but the ball's going to want to kind of drift. So it was just barely off the cup, and that would potentially open up a perfect and a great to the right. If I would have aimed right at the flagpole, I may have missed this shot, but I left myself that little bit of room so that I could hit that in the hole and trying to get our eagle. So while that shot right there was successful, the deal there is that second shot, I still have a little bit of work to do on it. And you want to take that shot as often as you can, because if you're in, depending on where you're at out there, you'll have to make a slight adjustment on that shot. And so the more times you take it, so if you find yourself on this hole and you're practicing and you end up anywhere other than this fairway pad, I'm going to chip it to the fairway pad. so that I can practice that max overpower hook shot. I don't want to, I know that if I was out here in the rough, I could hit the ball forward, end up out in this area and get on the green. I know that. All of us can do that. But what we're really trying to practice is this max overpower hook shot. And the more time you practice it, the better. But that's how I'm going to go at this hole every time. It's not that this shot out here is not a viable shot. And if you've got a lower developed extra mile, you've got an extra mile 3 or an extra mile 4, you're going to have to take this. You're going to have to lay it up on this island if you're trying to really go for eagle. Because if you don't go out here, it's difficult to get the eagle from over here, because here you can do a rough bump. And that rough bump will help you out. And the wind's going with you. The wind's going in this direction, so you got the wind at your back. Whereas if you hit it out here, now you're going against a side wind trying to bring it into the cup, and it's gonna hurt your shot. So if you got low stuff, take the white line. If you've got an extra mile 6 or higher, you can, and a big dog, you can take the shot that I just demoed right there. All right, that was hole number 8. Oh, that was hole number 9. Excuse me, that was hole number 9 of the 2020 St. Patrick's Day tournament and Monday's practice round in the rookie division. Thanks for watching.